All right, welcome back to the last video. So we are still solving each equation for x. It's just that this time there is a fraction. So I know a lot of you guys get scared of fractions, but I'm letting you know now, you don't have to be scared. A fraction is just a number, just like any other number, okay? So let's take a look at number 5. We have a fraction 1 over 3 to the power of x plus 3 is equal to 243. So anytime you have a fraction like 1 over something, what you can do is flip the fraction back over. So I'm going to do 3 to the power of x plus 3 over 1. So I flipped the fraction, right? And then I'm going to raise this. Oops, why is it not letting me write? Okay, raise this to the power of -1. Okay, and so why the -1? Well, every time you have a negative exponent, that just means you flipped your fraction, okay? So I just flipped our fraction around and then I gave it the exponent of -1, and that's going to be equal to what was originally written. So remember that negative exponent is flipped fraction. Negative exponent is flipped fraction. So I flipped the fraction and I gave it a negative exponent, and that's what I did here. And so why did I want to flip my fraction? Well, anything divided by 1 is just itself. So instead of 3 to the power of x plus 3 over 1, I can literally just write 3 to the power of x plus 3. Because anything divided by 1 is itself. So I essentially turned the original fraction into what looks like not a fraction anymore. It just has a negative exponent. And so hopefully that makes it a little bit less scary. So now that it doesn't look like a fraction anymore. Okay, so 243 hasn't changed yet. So there's one more step I want to do. We have this exponent being raised to this exponent. So what are we going to do? We're just going to multiply it. 3 to the power of, what is x plus 3 times -1? Well, we have to distribute the negative to the x and the 3. So it's -x minus 3. So I just multiplied x plus 3 times the -1. I just multiplied these. I'm going to write the word multiply. Okay, so I multiplied the exponents, so I got -x minus 3. Essentially, x times -1 was -x, plus 3 times -1 is -3. Okay, and so now I have x to the power of -x minus 3 equals 243. So then it becomes a problem just like problems 3 and 4 that we just did in the previous video. All we have to do is figure out what is 243 when you rewrite it with 3 to the power of something. So I'm going to continue this problem over here so I have space. 3 to the power of -x minus 3 is equal to 3 to the power of 5. Remember that 243 is the same thing as 3 to the power of 5. You can check that on your calculator. And then now that we have a base of 3 on both of these, all we have to do is focus on our exponents. So I'm going to highlight our exponents. We have -x minus 3 and 5. We can ignore the 3 as the base now. We just focus on the exponents. And then we can solve for x. So add 3. -x equals 8. And then we don't want -x, we want regular x. So I'm going to multiply everything by -1. That gives us positive x is equal to -8. And so that would be our final answer. Okay, so let's try number 6 together. You can follow along, or if you like, you can pause it and try it on your own. Be brave, face that fraction, it'll be okay. Okay, so if you're just following along, let's take a look at what do we do with this fraction. So remember, we're going to have to flip this fraction. So instead of 1 over 64, I have 64 over 1. And when you flip your fraction, that's the negative exponent. So I flip it around and I give it the -1 as the exponent. And why do I care to flip this fraction? Well, when I flip a fraction, anything divided by 1 is just that anything. So this is really 64 to the power of -1. Okay, And so here's where it's a little bit different from our previous problem, but I still want to show you. So 2 to the power of x is equal to 64 to the power of -1. Let's focus in on the 64 again. We want to rewrite it as 2 to the power of something. Remember that we found out 64 is 2 to the power of 6. So I just replaced 64 with 2 to the power of 6 because 64 is equal to 2 to the power of 6. You can check that on your calculator. And then we have these things, we need to multiply them again. So we have 6 times -1, which gives us -6. So finally, we have our base of 2 on both of them, which means we can simply focus on our exponents. So I have x and -6 here. I'm just going to write it to the right side a little bit. Let's just write the exponents. X equals -6. And so that's it. Since we don't have x plus 3 or x plus 5 or x minus 1 or anything like that, it's just x, we are done. Our final answer is x equals -6. Okay, and then your task is to do the skills practice assignment. So part F and part A, and you just have to do numbers 1 through 6. The pages are below, you can find it there. If you have any questions, please call me over and let me know.